So let's recap. Okay, for 3-5 pages piece, about 3-5 minutes, we need 1 month to feel that we can perform it in front of a small group of people freely and confidently, and we need another month for improving that feeling and increasing the audience and just to feel more and more confident. All right. Can you just quickly tell me what are the main key points for each of the stages, for analyzing stage, for learning stage, reading stage, maybe for performance practice stage?
Layering is when you separate each task, you master each layer, and after that you're adding another layer and another layer until you have all your term musical means of expression, and ending with true voice. And that if you feel that you are comfortable with all of these layers, you can proceed next to the next stage. I remember you told me that when you practice analysis stage, you are usually playing each layer once. Of course, that's because of your great experience with your own system. For me, this is not possible right now, and I really need to play it more than once to be comfortable with it. And I like the expression to clear the space in your mind for other tasks, so you can focus on something new, on new layer. That's the layered approach for analysis stage.
It's almost like when you prepare a cake, right? You get the layers, but you still have not baked them to make them solid and steady. But you have constructed, you create those layers. That's what I want to achieve with analyzing stage. I just got all the ingredients in the right order. And also the reason I don't really repeat them too much, because I don't want to create a strange, I don't want to consolidate in my fingertips a touch of just sound texture, where it has to have sound texture, harmony, dynamics, voicing, and sound movement. And that's what I want to repeat. So if I'm gonna stuck in sound texture for so long, I'm programming that touch with my fingertip. And then when I'm gonna add harmony, for me, I just feel it's harder for me to change that touch. So I say, you repeat, it kind of in the middle, I think, the truth for you. You repeat just to the point that it's still fragile and fresh, but you somehow have a little bit of space to add the next layer. But never stuck in it, repeating for like weeks, just sound texture, because that will prevent you from feeling the new layers.
Yes, so make it fresh, construction fresh, then to bake it in the the forge. Yes. Yeah, for me now it's still required to repeat, because yes, otherwise
you don't have space.
Otherwise, I don't have space, and all construction will just deconstruct.
It reminds me of consistency of the layers of the cake. Like, you don't want it to be completely liquid, because if the first layer is completely liquid, you cannot put the next layer. It's gonna be just all melted. So you kind of have to make it more, what is the word? Solid. Right? You have to make it solid so it could hold on the next layer, but still not too solid. Yeah, but not too liquid.
To maintain a form.
Maintain one form. Yeah. So I also provide a checklist when you start approaching a new piece, but also when you start using the piano wheel system for the very first time, because this list works as a feedback for yourself, like you would become your own teacher. Would you like to explain how it works?
Checklist is useful during analysis stage. In the checklist are listed all layers of analysis, starting from real basic dry things like hand movements and ending with more meta things like form, self-confidence and true voice. During analysis you incorporate new musical mean of expression, you work with it, and when you feel that it's fine, you position your camera, start recording yourself, and after that you take this checklist, watch the video and try to analyze from third point of view, is everything is all right? And if it is, then it's cool. If it's not, then you make another try and record it again, correct your mistakes and watch it again. In the book is written you need to right away press the record button for the second recording and start correcting. Would it be better if you let yourself dig a little bit in that mistake, correct
I don't
it?
think I don't think it is a mistake. It's more of what I mentioned before. Let's say you need to play with intonation and weight articulations hand together, right? And so you see that you need to check if there is a weight transfer to the piano, sufficient free energy in arm weight, correct posture, precise articulations, as well as the previous ones from the previous steps, which is, do you have prominent elbow motion, correct 3D motion, light and gentle touch, playing piano, playing slow, correct fingering, sustained pedal. And so some of them, you will notice that maybe none of them were 100% tune up. Maybe you need to kind of volume up a little, bring up something, like maybe you need to get more free energy in your arm weight, so you relax your throat more. It's more correction, but not a correction like you would work with difficult fragments. It's more of where do you need to bring more focus when you play. So next time you play, maybe you move your elbow a little bit with a greater amplitude, or maybe you focus on the sound movement a bit more.
So if you have the feeling right away that that my hands, for example, are not sufficiently relaxed, or I not transfer enough energy of weight into the keyboard, and you feel it right away when you play.
There are some obvious things that you feel and you can fix right away, but I think it's more for crystallizing something that was hidden to you. Maybe after you repeat 10 times and you think, okay, it's all right, and then you record and then you see. Or in a way, you can use this checklist just for yourself to keep in your mind. And while playing, you remind yourself, what are the tasks that maybe I'm missing or I shouldn't miss?
Yes, this checklist, here's another benefit, is in providing you clear understanding of what you're doing. You concentrate on that, concentrate on this, and each step, each repetition is not just gambling. You know what you're doing each time. and you're checking, and it looks fun. You're like a scientist. You're watching something and checking.
It's also good when you're, as a teacher, working with a student. So again, this checklist is really only if you feel that you're not really sure if you do maybe everything correctly, or maybe you play and you feel something is off, but you can't really pinpoint it. And so then you really just go, okay, let's get out of this vague feeling that something is off and let's just check what exactly is missing. And that might help to clear up mind. What is important for the learning stage?
In learning stage, you basically repeat.
The importance
sections.
of repetition. That's what we learn in the learning stage. Okay.
When I was reading in the book, it was a little funny. Like you were writing, if you don't know that repetition is the key to successful practice, I think who doesn't know this? So yes, repetition is the main goal of learning stage, and we repeat by blocks. We separate our piece by blocks. We start from small blocks by 1 or 2 sentences, then go by 4 sentences, by 8 sentences. So we multiply it with 2.
Why repetition is important?
You know, there is a paradox. How can something can become better and better when you repeat the same thing? So the question is, if we repeat something like stamping, it should be the same all the time. But if we learn something, we improving something that we not really repeat, we somehow improve with each time we play.
So every time we repeat, it goes to our magic subconscious and memory muscle place where it's stored. And now, let's say all the tasks were occupying 100% of the space in our mind. With the subconscious and muscle memory, it's our friends. So now we can unload that part into that memory. And now there's, let's say a 50% in our mind to focus on other tasks, maybe more clear. I just want to explain how exactly it works so you understand better even inside out, because I didn't write it in the book. So let's say we have 10 tasks. There is no way that on each task we really focus 100%. Let's say on 2 of them we focus 100%, and then on 3 of them 80%, and maybe on 5 of them maybe they're even blurry in our mind, even more blurry, maybe 40%. So every time you repeat, those tasks that you were able to focus on 100%, they moved into the department of muscle memory and subconscious. So now those 3 other tasks that you were focusing on for 80%, you're able to focus on them on 100%. They move forward. Now you repeat again, and you transfer those new 3 tasks that you can focus on for 100% again to subconscious and muscle memory. And now those rest of the tasks that you were focusing on 50% are moving to the main part, and now you can focus on them for 100%. Why it is important is that, as you remember, in analyzing stage, we start from how to produce one single note into how to embrace the whole piece and feeling, like you said, like a boss, calmly looking at it from above. You can only achieve it by gradually switching your focus on those tasks. So those tasks about the sound imagination, the movements, the intonation, the articulation, the phrasing, they all go into subconscious. You don't have to think about them anymore. They're all in a kind of like, you just feel them right. They're just kind of there. Right? And so now you're able to focus on those last tasks 100%, which is choosing the right tempo, understanding the structure of the piece, self-confidence and posture, through voice detachment. Let's see what's going to come through. Without repetitions, those would be still in the department of those, 50%. They would still be vague because you still need to focus on the main things because they were not unloaded to subconscious and memory muscle. That's how repetitions make it all right, because I kept repeating to my students, even if you finish the whole analyzing stage, unless you've done properly learning stage, you can't play the piece. Unless you've done the properly performance practice stage, you can perform the piece. So analyzing stage is just for that, just to analyze and put everything in layers. You know what to say in the piece. But the learning stage is the one that makes it all finally shine and makes it all feeling like you know and you can play. That's how repetition works. The idea is that we break the piece, we call those blocks sentences, because we align them with the phrasing. So let's say we practice each sentence, each 2 sentences, 4, 8, and eventually we multiply them till it brings up to a safe place of performing the whole piece. What is important is at which stage you can actually move on to the next block. Let's say you practice 1 sentence. When you know that you can move to the next sentence, there are 2 priorities. One is that you can first of all play that sentence by heart. There is no questions. You know everything. And if you repeat it 50 times altogether, then you can. Unless you're a really retarded person. Okay, muscle memory still works, alright, for human beings. So it's not that hard. But you need to make sure that, yes, you got it. You can play by memory that first sentence. Because don't expect that if you cannot play by memory, and then you move on to the next sentence, and then the next days you need to practice by 2 sentences, and magically you can play by memory 2 sentences. It doesn't work like that. It's a little bit like a fractal. What you do in a smaller scale will be reflected in a bigger scale. It's not going to be better. The second important thing is about tempo. For the slow pieces, fine. But if we talk about an advanced piece, what usually happens in our mindset, again, suggested to us with trauma in the past, that we're never ready to play fast. So I'm going to practice this sentence, and I know it's supposed to be like at 60 BPM, but I can only bring it to 40 because it's just my first day. I cannot bring it to 60. It's not the right time yet. So I'm just going to move on to the next sentence and practice the next sentences in 40 as well. And then again, magically, maybe the next day when I practice by 2 sentences, I will be able to play in 60. It doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work. So make sure that you have bravery to bring that sentence to full memorization and to the original required speed before you move on to the next 4 bars or 8 bars. This is so important. I learned the hard way from my students. And just like with orange juice that we talked about before, that it's not a joke. They kind of like, oh, yeah, I understand. But they still don't do. Because in the back of their mind, it's like, no, it's not the right time, I can't. It's not the right time to memorize. I cannot memorize a sentence in the first day of practicing the piece. And I cannot bring to the fast tempo, let's say, especially if you play, Rhapsody by Liszt, or his sonata, as I mentioned before, or any really virtuoso piece. You would never think that in the first day you can play it in tempo or by memory, but you have to. Each 8 bars.
Yes, it is like when we practice scales, speeding up scales, arpeggios by each block. So until you bring to the last, to the highest speed you need, you don't want to proceed to the next.
Again, it is important to mention here, I was told before, Emma, you gotta start playing fast. If you're not gonna start playing fast, you can never play fast, which is true. There's so much truth in it. But there is another upside to this, unfortunately. If you don't feel comfortable in playing even in slow tempo, your intuition is right. You will never be able to feel comfortable playing in fast tempo. Even if you repeat 100 times, you will likely injure your hands. And that's what was preventing me to start playing fast, because with my intuition, I knew I cannot. And then I tried playing fast a few times and I feel really bad, and then I really stop. So again, that's the mindset dictated by our trauma and experience in the past. But that's again why we have the piano wheel system, is that we know that we can feel comfortable. And when we're repeating, you cannot repeat something that is originally, by default, is so toxic, where there's no efficient movements, there is no sound imagination that control your touch, there is no layers, there is no analyzing stage. And this is so important to understand, that even if you take that sentence and you start repeating it 100 times in different tempos, unless you had that layered structure in your mind and in your body, it will not make magic. You cannot take something that is and by repeating it 100 times, make it shine. It has to be right from the beginning. And then you go to learning stage, and then then all you need is just to repeat it a few times in many different tempos, knowing that in each of those tempos, from slow to fast, you can feel comfortable. So all you do is just really repetition. You consolidate that cake. Again, come back to the cake. Very good analogy. So let's say you never had those cakes with layers. All you had is just liquid. A little bit of fingering here, a little bit of dynamics here, a little bit of emotion there, and compulsive tension to sparkle on the top of all of this. Now you take that and you put it in the oven, thinking that now you're gonna get a beautiful wedding cake. No, you're not gonna get it, even if you bake it 100 times. You see, that's very important to understand. So I think we covered learning stage. Let's go to wedding stage. What is wedding stage?
Yeah, this is an interesting point. When we kind of learn everything, but still we can have some minor mistakes here and there. And we play through the whole piece, and when we catch those errors, so you mark sticky notes on that place in the score.
But what is important here to highlight is that you play every day, like you said, you make a run through the entire piece 10 times. Alright? So after each time, when you play, you kind of remember. Maybe you don't remember everything, but you remember a couple of places. Put those sticky notes, you put there. Sometimes you need to write something. What are the most common 3 errors? First, memory slip. Second, technical problem. And third, something about structure. You were not really confident about the phrasing structure, or maybe you even forgot where you are in the form. So, and you just write on a sticky note like, okay, this is G, if it's a memory slip, Or if it's a difficult fragment, right, how do we work? It's usually we need to improve the musical speech or the elbow movement. All of that from learning technique exercises. So we just say, okay, so this is the third and faster elbow movement. Got it. Or if it's a phrasing, so you just look at the score. Okay, so this is the main motif in the main phrase of that sentence. So you put that sticky note, just a couple of them, and you play again. And the purpose of that is just to make sure you play just for those 2 parts. Never miss them again. That's the purpose of your whole playing, to conquer those 2 parts. You got it. And there are new ones, because it's a wedding stage. There are new wonderful plans are coming out, so you put more sticky notes on them. And so you play 10 times, and maybe some of them you will repeat, more of them will grow, and you do this process for a few days, okay, up to 3-5 days. Because it will be like this, and you also need to expect it. Just because you finish the learning stage and you can play 10 times through the piece doesn't mean that there will never grow something there. You sometimes can forget the note in the most obvious part. I mean, especially when we go on stage, something comes up where you never thought it would come up. And again, because you expect that this is a part of the process, you don't get frustrated, you don't get frightened that you did something wrong. You knew, no, that's how it's supposed to be. I'm still on the winning stage there.
Yes, and I remember when we find those places, we need to approach them, but not forget to maintain all the layers and to be in the self-confident stage. If I dig into a deeper layer, I think that I'm improving something, but when I forget that it should be inserted into this whole system, it improves, but somehow a way out of the whole system. So you need to work from above. That's how I see it. You need to improve but still be there.
Right, so you're talking about approaching those difficult parts. Let's say that one of your mistakes was not the memory sleep or phrasing or form, but it was that technique thing, right? Let's say you needed to improve the musical speech and the amplitude and the speed of elbow motion. Alright, there are two important things to keep in mind. One is to learn the piece in the context of your whole system. So you learn that part, not just, okay, I'm just focusing on musical speech and elbow here. No, when you practice that bar, you need to go into that tempo, form, self-confidence, posture, true voice detachment. Let's see what's gonna come through. And now you play, focusing a little bit more in that whole system on that particular thing of musical speech and elbow. Because if you don't, then when you're gonna play the piece, you're gonna play from that state of mind, and in that state of mind, you never practiced that part. It never existed. Never happened. So when that state of mind that you're going to use while playing the piece doesn't remember it, it was not participating. That's one thing. And the second thing is in the context of the score, in the context of the partitura that you have. So you practice that particular bar in different tempos, then you practice it in different tempos in a bigger block, let's say one sentence before, one sentence after, and then you practice it within that page in different tempos. You need to integrate it in the whole material. What usually happens, oh my god, I got that little trouble there. Okay, I don't even know what exactly caused that trouble, but I'm just going to repeat it 3-4 times in a slower tempo, because that's how I feel a bit more comfortable. And then let's play the whole piece in the fast tempo again. And then, I spent so much time doing it and it still doesn't work. I'm nothing. I'm worthless. Really. If you like listen to anyone practicing in the repertory, this is how it works. This is how
Soul
it works.
truth.
Yeah. Okay, so this is very important, how you approach and how you practice difficult fragments in the context of the mindset and in the context of the piece. Okay, let's go to the key points of performance practice.
Yes. The performance practice is the stage that usually underestimated. because
sometimes
really,
doesn't even exist in our mind.
yeah, yes. For me, that's true partially because I usually don't have time because I have a deadline. I'm learning, and tomorrow I need to play. So, but in ideal world, you need to really think about it methodically, and I very appreciate that you pay so much attention to it, because you not saying like some random things like обыграйся and you know, but you suggest gradual path, like you said, like in the game you need to perform stepping stones or pillars. I like
Have you read the story of the canyon and stepping
yeah.
stones?
Yeah,
Isn't
well,
that
I
how
like
it
that.
feels, no? Right.
Yeah, I like that. It's very illustrative. Yes, a clear image of what it is. So, what should you do? The goal of the performance practice stage is to eliminate the fear of mistakes, eliminate the fear of control and perfections.
The goal of the learning stage and the reading stage is to overcome the fear of mistake. But on the goal of the performance practice stage is overcome a feeling of wanting to control everything, perfection, and and actually to surrender yourself and not to even think about tasks and really allow yourself to connect and channel something much bigger than you are. So we're basically overcoming fear of perfection. And somehow, yes, you're right, you also overcome a fear of mistake, because actually there is no fear of mistake. Because remember, when you play in the zone, then playing the wrong note doesn't count as a mistake. Because if you play it in the right energy, no one will even notice it, including yourself. So you stop being afraid of playing the wrong note. Okay,
Yes,
continue.
yes. So when the main goal is to throw away, not throw, but to become more abstract from focusing on the layers and be in the music. Like the music is not within the notes; it's beyond the notes, and the space is that beyond you. That space that you need fully concentrate, and that's the goal where we go through those stepping stones on the performance practice stage. We start the first day. We start just trying to play without focusing on those layers. You call it listening state.
You're listening to the muse, what she wants you to say, where she wants you to follow. And you play just for yourself, just to being able to find that sweet spot, you know.
This state of pleasure and comfort.
Creativity, art.
Creativity. Because when this is not so easy for your mind. I experience always, like, you know, switching attention. I can allow myself flickering. I can allow myself to let go, but at the same time, not the same time, but for a couple of seconds. Oh my God! I'm flying, and now you're falling down. So you need to believe to let yourself trust.
Basically, in the first, let's say, 5 days, you're going through all different stepping stones, and you repeat each day about 20 times. You play through the piece 20 times. And so by the end of those 5 days, you will accumulate like 100 times of playing through the piece. And from my experience, even though you try during those days to reach that state, to reach that zone, kind of like sometimes it's like you said, it will feel flickering. And again, it's about expectations. When I'm trying to say that expect to really feel free and at ease in that zone, focusing on that zone and staying there, maintaining it through the entire piece, only after playing through the piece 100 times.
That's a big amount of times.
And it's a big statement also, you know, to just say that, again, don't expect anything before. If something comes out, great, but again, take it as a gift, not as a demand from yourself. And so so those days, first you play just for yourself, then the second day you visualizing.
Yeah, remember, you're visualizing like you're playing on stage. I heard for the brain there's no difference if you imagine situation or this happening in reality.
As soon as I try to in details create, first of all, the space of the hole, the light, I like to create in my mind that the lightning comes right on from the top to the keyboard. I love that, such an intimate personal atmosphere. The huge grand. Then you kind of see this much space of the stage around you, and you also start visualizing how many people exactly are in the audience. Do you want to see 200? Do you want to feel 1,000? Do you want to feel 5,000? If you're lacking imagination, go to Google and look at those amazing venues of the world. You can use that in your imagination. But as soon as you start engaging that, from that picture in your mind, you start going into, let's see what's going to come through. Let's see what the whole and the grand piano and my imagined audience, what kind of energy they are giving to me, what kind of music now, how music now wants to respond to that. It affects everything. Your movement becomes bigger, your energy becomes bigger. So that works. Yeah. All right, so again, you play in that state 20 times, trying your best to reach playing in the zone, knowing that still it's not going to be there 100%, but that's okay. Again, it's about just passing through that stage. What's the next day?
Recording. You start recording yourself, and first with the audio, and as well, you do 20 recordings. Yes.
Why with the audience? Why with the audio first?
I guess to make gradual transition to the video.
It's easier. You feel much less pressure when no one observing you.
Yeah. So you start just with hearing you, and then with hearing and watching you.
So the next day you record the video.
Yeah, I'm curious if you will watch those takes, 20 takes you've done, or it's just for it's just nominative, how to say, nominal. Well, it's just for the record. You do this, but not checking after that.
It's for creating the pressure of feeling that you're being observed. Just additional twitch challenge. I do it as a part of my YouTube channel. So any piece that you see, usually I record after practicing it for 2 weeks. Yeah. And so when I record myself on the video, also in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I will listen later, and if there is something worse to post, I would post on YouTube. So that's a little bit of sassy motivation there to share if something comes through nicely. All right, so by that time, so 20 times for yourself, 20 times. I'm looking here because
this is a pretty big amount of information here.
Yeah, that's your entire life of the piece right there. Right, so 5 days. Right, so playing for yourself, playing, visualizing in the whole, recording audience, video recording 20 times. Day 5. Video recording
and try to use different outfits and lighting.
shoes and lighting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is great. I've heard this. You were the first who was talking about it. This is a great point. For me, I didn't hear from anyone from anyone that point.
No, it's very easy. You practice in your usual outfit, you feel comfortable. Yeah, I got the piece. As soon as you change the color of your shirt, you play the piece, it's like you never played it before.
Yeah, I'm saying that during this performance practice stage, we're enlarging our comfort zone. So we start from small discomfort, we get well with it, we enlarge our zone, again discomfort, we get well with it, enlarge, and then stabilize our skill. Stabilization. This is a moment of stabilization.
Exactly. In those 5 days, the very first time you're gonna play, you will feel really, really insecure. Just moving from day 1 to day 2. Yesterday I played 20 times just for myself. I feel great. Today I'm gonna play and I'm gonna start visualizing myself playing in the hall. As soon as you just get this new idea, you play for the first time, you feel super uncomfortable again. Very unstable. So on all those days, the first couple of times, just expect you will always feel very insecure and very unsafe. It will feel painful, basically. But again, it's just the part of the picture. That's how it's supposed to be. And this is, again, it's like a map of progress in your repetition, how you will feel. So you start discomfort, tension. Then the next time you repeat, maybe freedom appearing in random short sections of the piece. Then next time you play, you feel maybe large sections are played with more ease, while equally great sections remain tense. Then next time you play, you're losing focus due to some distractions, external as well as internal. Basically, you lose it all. Like this is what you were describing. The next time you play, you feel 80% of the pieces played with ease and freedom. The next time you play, you feel inability to focus, losing everything that was previously achieved. Next time you play, you feel tired and discouraged. And towards the last times you play, you feel inspired and maybe you gave one of your best performances, but equally, you might just take a break and start another round the next day because you feel just everything you're done. You cannot progress anymore. With repetitions, it's never just like a crescendo building from piano to forte. It also has its frequencies inside, like life. And I think I heard so many times from pianists who say when we try to record something, our first times are always the best, and then it just goes decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. For me, I would say when I have to repeat the piece maybe 10 times, my best times is always around 3rd or 5th time, and then it's actually decreasing. But you still need to repeat. That's important, no matter how you feel. The repetition, no matter how you feel. And so many times, many of us just give up as soon as we feel something is not going right, and we just feel we're afraid, okay, so we're gonna stop because we're probably doing a mistake. It could be the case, but not with our teaching here, because you know that you're not making any mistakes. You know that everything was organized, your movements are thoughtful, your mind is focused, you know exactly what to do. This is a different situation. So when you feel a bit discouraged, it's important that you finish your repetitions. And then the next day, you might feel a great leap in the progress when you start. So that's important to keep in mind. So after those 5 times, playing for yourself, visualizing the concert hall, recording audio, recording video in your maybe performance outfit, you got 100 times 20 by 5 days. And so only after that day you can really expect that, okay, now everything is gonna go a bit easier and it will take me less time to focus on the things I need to focus on, and the length of the time I can maintain my focus will expand when I practice. All right, after that, you actually start interacting your piece, your music with other people. Again, it doesn't feel like jumping over the canyon because it feels you ready for it. So you wouldn't feel so much anxious.
A little question here. It is written 5 times. So it is not considering that you find the person and tell him, please stay here and listen to me.
You do. People keep asking me, but this is true. And when I tell my students, find one good person, and they're like, who will agree to listen to you 5 times in a row, your piece? They're like, yeah, it has to be a really good person. It's like, yeah, you gotta give him a gift, just bake him a cake or something, But this is very important.
So not passively, actively listen.
Oh, yeah. He has to sit there, he has to listen. But what is important? Why? When you play the first time, like I just mentioned, at any stage, stepping stone, the first time you're gonna feel like crap. But what is important is that you reach with repetitions a state where it's gradually transforming into feeling secure and a feeling of I can. You have to do it with that same person. Even if you play twice, you just run through the whole piece or the even program. You feel like you've been like a rabbit being chased by a python, But the second, and you're like, oh my God, that was horrible. I was so not ready for it. All the work was for nothing. But you say yourself, okay, now I'm gonna play the second time. In 5 seconds, you start playing second time. You feel so much more at ease. And you're like, okay, now we're talking. Magic is happening. You're playing the third time, done. First time, yeah, I already know that I can do it. 5th time, You have to reach that point with that same person that you can play for him. So you can move to the next step, which is play in front of the 2 or 3 people. And if they're willing to listen to you twice, I know I wrote 5 times, but it's much harder to find a group of people who would listen to you 5 times, but at least twice, also great.
Because I was thinking, your listeners should not directly listen to you. It's like you have guests, they are sitting over the table, they're eating dishes, and you're playing just like on the background. But now I understand that you suggest them to listen to you directly, to make them listen to you directly 5 times. Yeah? Yes.
That's the whole point. Of course you can do that. Actually, it could be another nice stepping stone if you still feel if you're checking out a bit. You can do that as well. Play for someone who's listening to you passively. But ultimately, yes, we want to feel that we have attention from people and we interact and create together. After you play for one person and then you play for a group of people, then the last step would be
playing in some public places.
Different pianos. Start experiencing different pianos and different venues. And I provide a list of possibilities, which is, I have to read that. So it could be at your friend's home, if one happened to have a piano, the classroom where you study. So for example, playing at your teacher class. Now you can take that up as an opportunity and put it right there, right in that box. When I go to my teacher now, in your mindset, I'm going to my teacher. This is not my murder day. This is actually just a part of a playthrough on different pianos and different venues in my practice. Okay, right. Already, you're not afraid of it. You start using it. Actually, you're actually kind of grateful for it. You know, as my professor used to tell me, you come here on this piano and you play for me, you have no idea how much lucky you are, because when you're gonna graduate, you're not gonna have that opportunity to come every week and play on different pianos and being listened to. So it's a great opportunity where you put right there. So at your friend's home, in the classroom, you study or teach. So again, a different variant if you have your students, if you have your private school. So you gather your, students and you say, hey, we're making a concert today. The teacher is playing, and they listen, okay? At libraries and churches, easy. At Steinway, Yamaha showrooms, well, any piano showrooms. In fact, you can actually walk in, and you know what? There are like at least 10 different pianos. And no one will tell you stop. They love that you're playing there because you attract customers. So you play your piece a couple of times on one piano, then you move to another piano, feels different. You play that piece another few times on another piano, then you move to another piano. The easiest way, actually, and everyone will be just happy. On street pianos, I remember like in US, you can find it almost everywhere. Right, and at airports and malls, also very popular. So these are your options.
Yes, street pianos usually are very bad.
Yeah, it's great to also experience playing on the piano that doesn't respond to you, so you put a little bit more effort to tame the piano with your intention, and you do tame it after some time. So feeling comfortable playing on uncomfortable piano is also a very good challenge. Alright, and so by that time, those 2 weeks of your performance practice will be over, and then you move to the next month where you actually start playing at different events. And there is a piano, there are people who've been invited. So it could be your private recitals, it could be playing at musical festivals, being a part of a larger event. Live streams there.
Live streams, yeah.
Easy, especially if you have your channel. Even if you have, I promise you, even if you have one view, you have one person who is watching you, you feel that. It's great. Perform at churches, music events, enroll in Steinway or Yamaha performance events, which they hold sometimes. Join music festivals, become a member of musical clubs, associations, and societies. I remember in meetups, when back in Singapore I lived, I was creating my own meetups. Or you join meetups where they usually hold monthly concerts, and you perform there as a member. And enroll in summer piano schools or master classes that does require some. Right, and so you do that, obviously not in the very important events, as a rehearsal stage for your main event, which is going to happen 1 month ahead. So you spend on that rehearsal stage maybe a month. And even if you play even 3 times, I know I've written like 10 times, it's great. If you can perform every week twice somewhere, even if within that month you perform even twice, that's already something. So this is it, And so now when you have a new deadline and you have a piece, and you look at this, and let's see, you have a deadline of 2 weeks, and you're like, okay, what do we do? Alright, so it's important to make maybe this, and maybe that, and maybe that. Done. If you have to. But of course, if you create your own deadlines, so, I need to play 3 pieces in 3 months. Can I do that? Yeah, I can. Good. And that's why I have this the most satisfying part where you actually put the ticks in those boxes, and you put the dates, places where you can put the date, so you can actually kind of predict, predict at which date you will finish which stage, and see how ready you're gonna be. So this is delicious. Let's talk about how to prepare a program and how to maintain it in your hands.
Well, the crucial thing of maintaining repertoire is the desire to play it again and again. If you don't have the desire, then you gradually will forget and lose from your repertoire the piece. The reason why usually we lose and not have desire to play is because of trauma of not comfortable and pleasurable experience during the practice the piece. This is logical.
Yeah.
And
it gives us a very traumatic aftertaste, and so the only reason we played it is because we were asked. So, that's what I mean with. I hope that the piano well system just brings this pleasure and joy, where you want to play to feel good every day. And I suggest not to, even if you're busy, not to skip more than 2 days in a row with your program. And it is important to play through the whole program, right? Also, maybe a few times I play through the whole program, just like with the piece, where you can work on small fragments, but it's important to make a run through. It's the same here, the same approach. And ideally, you can apply the whole performance practice stage to your whole program. It would take much more time though, but maybe not to repeat 20 times, but to repeat maybe 2 times, in each day.
So complete the one piece, and only after that go to the other. Because there are a lot of different opinions on that point. Somebody tells that
I know
this is okay to learn many pieces at the same time. It is like reading several books at the same time.
Mm-mm. Well, imagine the same analogy with the cake. Imagine you want to make 10 cakes at the same time. By the time you're finishing your 10 cake, your first cake is getting melted, is getting needs to be taken care every step by step till at least you bring it to some sort of solidity, some sort of it can hold. Because otherwise everything will feel fragile and there will be no ways to add new layers. By the time you finish with number 10, when you come back to number 1, you want to add second layer, you will forget the first layer.
Understood. Yeah.
What about the pre-performance anxiety? What's happening there? I mean, you would know because you haven't had this experience yet, but I tell you that generally you wake up and you're feeling bad, right? And so the idea that, yes, learning something and preparing myself and feeling ready to play will obviously takes away a bit of panic and unhealthy anxiety. But as a general feeling, this the nerves don't go away, and so you will feel bad. And I spend most of my mornings in the toilet anyway. It's the truth, and it will always stay. No matter how many times you will play, maybe you play the whole program for the 10th time. I did that. I play my program for about 20 times, and I can tell every time did not get easier on me, because even though the program is known, the venue and audience is always new. And so the feeling of this, anxiety about unknown will always stay in your stomach. And what you can do, and what you should remind yourself to ease and to tune yourself on the right kind of frequency, is to remind yourself that this feeling is actually prepare you to exalt all your senses and kind of like really perceive much more, and it intensifies everything in your body. And so it's good for the ending result. Is good. You will feel more, you will express more. So embrace that feeling as an inevitable sensation in your body. Don't fight it. And the second thing is to surrender your control. Because when you feel so anxious, it gives a signal to your mind to control the situation even more. To make sure that you get there in time, that you have enough time to warm up, to be ready, not to get cold. Sometimes people go super and like in a scattering way, going through different parts of challenging parts of the piece, not to forget this, okay, did I miss this? And the more you do that, the more you're actually anxious. So actually my suggestion not to go through like scattering different parts, but actually maybe play once through the entire program. But the main part is to surrender your ego even more here, and just to surrender to whatever comes in. If it's all chaotic, you have no control over. You cannot control how much time you will have in front of the piano. You cannot control if you're gonna be cold or warm. You cannot control how audience is gonna be. You cannot control how many people are gonna be in the audience. You cannot control how you will feel in the moment. You can't control those things. So you surrender your control, and you embrace the anxiety. These are two things.
One of those videos that you used in your previews with me playing is I had a recital in my hometown. Yes. I remember that day. The night I could not sleep. Without sleep. I played without night sleep that day. And it was well, not so bad. But yeah. So yeah, you say to embrace it and give out the control, but control still should
No, not control. You can control what you do in front of the piano. You cannot control anything else. And it will always feel you late, and it will always feel you're not gonna make everything in time, and it will always feel you have not gone through all the challenging parts in the piece, and it will always feel you have not remembered every single note. Those are just the brain trying to survive there. So just let it be.
Just say, be in the moment right now.
Yeah, it's kind of more like you put yourself in a state of kind of sadness and acceptance of anything that come to you.
Sadness.
Yeah, because it's sadness. It's sad. You cannot control everything. Surrender is a bit sad.
Wisdom. It's true wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom, sadness. It's like, well, yeah. The whole this situation that we have connected, and you suggested to start this project. This is like, for me, this is like a present, a gift of destiny. And I cannot measure the gratefulness for that, and enormous work that you have done from the very start of your own seeking and learning, and the audience that you have, those people like me that have those unmet needs of that they know that they have problems, but they cannot satisfy their urge to solve them, and we as an artist, we always need, as you said, we need more. We need more intense experience of music, more intense, some new levels of expression. And I remember what led me to your system, to your video, was that it was a couple of years ago when I was seeking for the idea of perfect legato. I was not satisfied with the legato of piano, and I seeking the sensation of legatissimo, that unbelievable sound that cannot be in the real world, because we have those discretion of keys that are separate from each other. But as an artist, I want that sensation of perfect legato, and I knew that this is possible. But I want to find somebody who speak about it too, who speak about it so loud and clear and persistent. And I found you, and this I'm so grateful for that, for the destiny that I found you. Thank you.
And I'm grateful that I took that opportunity. Yeah. So, and I'm very grateful that you finally represent my system as it should be represented. Just a hardworking, curious, motivated, healthy person. And that's all I wanted. And it's not easy to find one. Yeah.